Greetings, fellow percussionists, cajon players. I hope you are well. I just wanted to take a moment to share my experience, actually, of my recent buying and playing experience of buying my first cajon, or actually my first two cajons, but one of them I'm sending back. So I just wanted to share my findings with you in case it was useful, because actually there wasn't a direct comparison of these two cajons, so I wanted to take this opportunity to make a video and share my own experience. So I've just, as I said, purchased my first cajon, and I wanted a two-in-one cajon with both a snare option and without the snare, just for a bit more versatility in playing. And my first choice was this, based from online shopping and video demonstrations, sound bites of people playing the drums. I chose this Meinl one, and I love Meinl percussion. I've got a few other Meinl drums and instruments, and I love their instruments in general, so it was a no-brainer for me to try this two-in-one. But I found myself actually slightly disappointed with it. On the face of it, I like the tone and the sound, but actually the mechanism for turning the snare on and off is like a metal plate inside, which is activated and moved forward by this switch here, this knob here. And what I found, which really annoys me, is it creates this slight overtone when you hit the drum. So at the moment I've got it in the back position where the snare is not engaged. It doesn't do it all the time. Just, there we go. It rattles, it creates this like little metallic rattly overtone. And I might well send this video to Meinl as well, actually, just as some product feedback, because it's really disappointing, because I actually love the tone. It's got a really nice kind of warm tone to it. I just like it. Obviously it's totally subjective, isn't it? But when I first started playing, until I heard that overtone noise, I was really loving it, and the snare sound as well. If I bring it forward, engage the snare. It's got a nice sort of punchy snare. And the mahogany front plate, which this is feels nice. It's nice and responsive, and the snare is nice and quite snappy, I guess. But again, probably won't be able to pick it up so much on this one. You get a slight rattly overtone from this metal bar, and you can kind of hear the clunkiness of that the kind of that overtone that you get. It's like that noise to a slightly lesser extent, but it's really noticeable when you play it without the snare. So I'm actually, unfortunately, very disappointed with this offering from Meinl, and I'll be sending it back. Before I made the decision to do that, because I really didn't want to, but I can't live with that overtone. It's a distraction. It's really annoying. I still wanted a two-in-one cajon as my first cajon. I mean, there's a solution to this problem, of course. If you don't, you just buy a snare-only one or a wood-only one. And I have no doubt that the Meinl snare-only one would sound great, and I have considered doing that. But actually, I want, for my first cajon, no doubt I'll be buying more, to be honest, in due course. But for my first one, I just want that playing versatility. So this is the CaSela equivalent, similar price point to the Meinl Pro 2-in-1, similar size. I believe this is also a walnut or satin nut, this type of walnut front plate as well. This one has a much more robust mechanism. It's just engaging it and disengaging it. You can hear there, it's pretty silent with the exception of the switch. There's no clunky metal. And looking inside, it's a really solid wooden structure that kind of is engaged by dropping this lever backwards and forwards, and there's no, sorry, let me move my microphone over, that will help. There's no overtone from it at all, it's absolutely solid. The other thing with this, you have another sound option here, what they for some reason are called clap corner. Seriously, you get they came with a little little thing in the corner here highlighting the clap corner. So it's basically just, it's slightly forward, and it gives you a little castanet effect. Which I like as well, because it just gives you a bit more dynamics in the different sound essentially. So, and then when you engage the snare, I actually, if I'm honest, I wish this drum had that mechanism and with that snare, because I do honestly prefer the snare on that. It engages a bit lower down in the bass, you get a bit more snare in the bass, which I like. Some people might like a bit more separation in that. But yeah, I guess there's always going to be a compromise with the 2-in-1. I have considered spending a bit more money and getting a snare only Meinl one from the Artisan range that has a tunable snare, and it has, I think, two sets of 5 coils. And in the videos I've heard it sounds great. And I still might get one to try, because I can ultimately still send both of these back, but I do like the versatility of having the ability to turn it on and off, especially as the fact that you can do it with this one discreetly. That one, if you did that in the middle of a solo or something, or in the middle of a performance, it makes that clunky rattle noise just in the engagement and disengagement of it, whereas this one you can turn it on quite subtly. You can and it doesn't interrupt your solo with any overtones, any clunky noise. So I think in that sense it's nice having that versatility, and I don't think I'm going to say, I think I'm going to keep this one. I'm definitely going to send this one back. I'm pretty certain I'm going to keep this one, and I'm not going to get a dedicated snare only one, at least not at this time. I wouldn't want a dedicated wooden, but I do like that option. So there we have it. I hope you found that helpful if you're considering a 2-in-1 Cajon in this price point. I personally wouldn't waste your time with this one. Either get a Meinl snare only one, or get this CaSela one. There are a couple of others with 2-in-1 options. I'm not going to go through and buy them all. Oh, I suppose on that point actually, I wish I could have gone to a drum shop and just sat and played them all and tried them all. It's quite limiting obviously when you're buying drums online. It's very subjective. Of course, your preference and the tactile nature, the feel of the drum and everything, just being able to sit and play and listen to it to make your choice. But I personally didn't have that as an option, unfortunately, and so I bought one online, and fortunately I'm glad. Obviously there's a returns policy and I can send that one back, but I'm not going to like buy all the Cajons and have them delivered to my house to try. It's tempting, mind you. I wouldn't mind more, but yeah, the practicalities of it, it's not practical, not financially or logistically really, so I'm going to stick with this one, this CaSela Pro 2-in-1 with the snare and without the snare. So yeah, like I said, I hope you found this video useful. Drop me a message if you have any other questions, but happy Cajoning.